Good evening and welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I am Sanket Upadhyay. A lot has been spoken about over the weekend, and finally our politicians in Parliament have also spoken about this. But see, there is a sense of deja vu at this moment. You saw all of this happening in 2012 as well, 7 years ago. Similar anger in Parliament also. Similar comments in Parliament also. Have things changed or have they remained the same? Are we failing the women in this country? Listen to these parliamentarians that you see on your screen right now, from Rajya Sabha to Lok Sabha. All of them were speaking. In fact, there were protests that broke out over the weekend, protests today as well. We are expecting that tomorrow in the national capital, the Delhi Commission for Women Chief is going to sit on a dharna, on a hunger strike. What purpose is all of this going to serve? I'm not being pessimistic, but my point is, somewhere have we made this anger in some sort of an event? Let's ask this question of ourselves. And then you have politicians like Jaya Bachchan who openly profess lynching inside Parliament. She says that these people, the rapists, must be handed over to the people and there should be lynching. She is advocating public lynching. Well, this is proof that she has no idea. This is proof that we have not really done much in strengthening our systems. Let's put this to a short discussion as of this moment. Lalita Kumaramangalam, she is the former chairperson of the National Commission for Women, director of the India Foundation, member of the BJP. With us, Pinaki Mishra, lawyer as well as a Lok Sabha MP from the Biju Janata Dal. In the studios, I have Subhashini Ali, beg your pardon, is right here with me in the studio, and Niharika Karanjawala, a senior lawyer, is also with us from the Supreme Court. I have a lot of other guests also who are going to join us through the course of the broadcast, but let's begin with you. Subhashini ji, you must have heard the comment that was made by Jaya Bachchan. She's advocating lynching.
I heard that and I think it's quite shocking, but what I would like to say is that these kind of, responses, they don't take us anywhere. We had a terrible case some years ago. After that, there was a commission set up. The commission gave very good suggestions. Changes were made in the law also. What we should be asking is that why are successive governments not implementing those laws? Number one, that law that was changed says that policemen who are accused of dereliction of duty in writing FIRs or in investigating the case, they must be punished. I don't think a single policeman has been punished. Maybe I'm wrong, Niharika. Not a single has been punished since that day to now. What has happened in Telangana? Not only the outrageous remark that they made, but apparently the family of the victim went to the thana and they were just not taken seriously. So what is going to happen to the people in that thana? As far as Uttar Pradesh is concerned, in the Unnao case, and after the Unnao case, the Supreme Court itself said, women are not safe in Uttar Pradesh. What does that mean? Should that government in Uttar Pradesh be still there today? They're saying bring the victim to Delhi. How many victims will you bring to Delhi? Correct. The police that was supposed to be guarding the victim in Unnao, they were nowhere there when she was in that car. They were in touch with the rapist in the jail. And so this is one very important fact that we always lose sight of, that dereliction of duty is not punished, number one. Number two, fast track courts and swift justice being delivered. That is not happening anywhere. Then compensation, time and again, the Supreme Court has said the victim and the victim's family must be given some form of compensation. There must be some effort made to rehabilitate the victim. Nothing is done about these things which are so essential, so crucial to their mental and physical well-being. Families who are fighting these cases are bankrupted because they have no wherewithal to fight these cases. And lastly, powerful people who are leaders of political parties, why are they shown such leniency by governments? In fact, they should be given the most stringent punishment of all. They must be shown up as examples that this kind of criminal behavior is not going to be brooked by anyone. And that should be an example that goes right down to the bottom. When people see that important people are not being spared, then maybe some fear will be created. And you see now porn sites are visiting this girl's rape video. It's just horrible what's happening.
Okay.
What can be done about
Okay.
it? And also, let me tell you,
yeah.
let us implement the laws that are there. Let's not talk about lynching and hanging. Those are not going to help.
Sure. Badrinath Singh, Nirbhaya's father, is also with us. So is Pinaki Mishra. Thank you very much, Pinaki ji, for joining us. Lalita Kumara Mangalam is also with us now. Badrinath ji, मैं आपसे ये सवाल पूछना चाहता हूँ. आपने बयान सुने आज संसद में, जिस तरीके से बयान दिए गए कि लोगों को सुपुर्द कर देना चाहिए, लोगों के हवाले कर देना चाहिए ऐसे लोगों को. देखिए, रोष है जनता में, लेकिन मैं आपसे ये जानना चाहता हूं, ये सवाल क्या सिस्टम से नहीं पूछना चाहिए कि आपने 7 साल में क्या किया? निर्भया के बाद इस सिस्टम ने क्या किया? क्या पुलिसिंग सुधरी है? क्या केसेस फास्ट ट्रैक हुए हैं?
हाँ, नहीं, देखिए, जो उन्होंने संसद में ये उठाया कि जनता के हवाले कर देना चाहिए, हमारे जैसे आदमी कहे, कम पढ़ा लिखा आदमी ये बात कहे तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, कोई बुराई नहीं है. लेकिन संसद में बैठने वाला व्यक्ति को ये सोचना चाहिए कि हम किस देश में बैठे हैं, हमारे देश का कानून क्या है. क्या हम इस कानून के तहत किसी कानून है कि हमको किसी जनता के हवाले कर दिया जाए? बिल्कुल नहीं है. तो हमें अपने कानून के ऊपर चल के बात करनी चाहिए कि हमारा कानून क्या है और कहाँ कमियां हैं, उसको उनको फॉलो करना चाहिए. उस पर उनको नज़र उस पर डालनी चाहिए, वो साफ करना चाहिए कि यहाँ ये कमियां हैं, यहाँ वो कमियां हैं, इसको सही किया जाए. तो उन्होंने तो जोश में आकर पता न क्या कह दिया, लेकिन हमारे को ये बात अच्छी नहीं लगी. अगर फास्ट ट्रैक कानून है, सब कुछ हमारे देश में है, तो अब तक निर्भया को न्याय क्यों नहीं मिला? ये सीधी सी बात है कि हमारे न्याय में कोई कमी नहीं है, व्यवस्थाओं में कमी नहीं है, लेकिन व्यवस्था में बैठे हुए जो लोग हैं उनमें कमी है. आप देखिए, जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट से हमारी केस निकल कर बाहर आ गई, 2 बार रिव्यू भी खारिज हो गया उनका, तब भी ये जेल अथॉरिटी को पता है, उसको चाहिए कि उनको 1 हफ्ते के अंदर नोटिस करे कि अपना आगे का काम अपना पूरा कर, नोटिस करना चाहिए. लेकिन जेल अथॉरिटी बैठी रही. 2.5 साल बीत गए. जब हम लोगों ने दौड़ भाग शुरू किया, तब उन्होंने उनको नोटिस किया कि अब डालो, नहीं तो तुम्हारा समय खत्म हो जाएगा. तो एक तो ये बात है कि उन्होंने इनके वजह से लेट हुआ हमारा, यानी सरकारी प्रक्रिया में बैठे हुए लोग जो हैं उनके वजह से हमारी केस डिले हुई. दूसरी बात कि जो काम सरकार को करना चाहिए, सिस्टम को करना चाहिए, हमें करना पड़ रहा, हमें दौड़ना पड़ रहा कि नहीं अब इसके आगे क्या होगा, इसके आगे क्या होगा. अभी जो हमारी केस लगी थी शनिवार को, उसमें क्या हुआ? उसमें यही हुआ कि उनके पास अभी बहुत सारा बाकी है उनके अधिकार. लेकिन देखिए, जब जेल अथॉरिटी ने उनको वार्निंग कर दिया कि 1 हफ्ते के अंदर अगर नहीं डालोगे तो तुम्हारा कोई भी सिस्टम काम नहीं, मतलब फेलियर हो जाओगे या ये समझ तुम्हारा अधिकार खत्म हो जाएगा. लेकिन उन्होंने किया क्या? उन्होंने किया भी नहीं और यहाँ तक कह दिया कि हम करेंगे भी नहीं. तो अब यहाँ पर जरूरत पड़ गई यहाँ की, जब उनका काम ही खत्म हुआ, करेंगे नहीं तो बात खत्म हो गई. अब यहाँ पे जरूरत है कि जो एक ने डाला है सुप्रीम को, वहाँ क्या नाम है, राष्ट्रपति के पास, उसको खारिज करके और उन चारों को फांसी दे देने की जरूरत है.
I think to anyone who's hearing what Badrinath is saying, Pinaki Mishra, if you can hear me, I think you raised this issue in Parliament also. To anyone who hears the plight of Nirbhaya's parents as of this moment would realize that the reason why the solution over here is not public lynching. That is not a solution. I think we are doing far worse in our present system to the victims or the families of the victims.
Sir, this brings to my mind the discussion.
I completely agree with you. All that the unfortunate father is saying is let the law take its course. That's all. और क्या कह रहे हैं वो? तो सिर्फ ये कह रहे हैं कानून अपना पूरा जोर से अपनी जोर आजमाइश करे. you know, the unfortunate thing, he's absolutely right. There is no reason for the jail authorities to be, you know, treating these people as guests of the state at our taxpayers' money. There's absolutely no reason why there's such laxity. Why should you, after, you know, 2 years of the Supreme Court dismissing your review, now say that within a week if you don't do something, we may have to do something. Now, one person has filed, you know, what they're doing very cleverly is one person has filed now a mercy petition. They'll wait for that to be rejected, a second will file, then a third will file, the fourth will file, and the jail authorities say that we can't, you know, hang all four of them as long as one petition is pending. Somebody has then gone to the High Court, there's a petition pending in the High Court that he should have been tried as a juvenile. So this is, all kinds of stratagems are being employed. At this rate, I don't see these chaps being hanged for the next 5, 7, 10 years. And after that, it will be that they've been on death row for so long, now they should get leniency, it should be commuted to life. So, you know, unless this deterrent of that parliament, look, you know, I know there is a pro-life lobby which is anti-death sentence. The fact of the matter is that there is today a collective will of parliament today, which has unanimously passed this law that the death sentence in heinous cases of this nature, where there is gang rape coupled with murder, that death sentence is practically mandatory now. And Parliament is collectively decided this, unanimously decided this once, and the courts have upheld it. Once that is so, the death sentence is on the books of you know, our IPC. There is no reason that this deterrence should not be exhibited, that the government and the state will act with the full might of the law. See, there is no fear left now. People believe that, you know, you can get away with it because nobody is being, you know, hanged despite the Supreme Court dismissing your petition, your review. They are also you know, saying they'll file curatives.
I wanted to know, I think there was some mention that you made in, on the floor of the House about fast-track courts also.
Yes.
Do you think fast-tracking cases...
Some of the, I'll tell you, that some of the people said that the Telangana convicts should, these culprits should be tried by a fast-track court. There is no problem. The fast-track court will give you the same death sentence in a matter of, you know, a month, 2 months, because the evidence is so compelling. There is no defense. The difficulty is thereafter, how do you execute it? Because you can carry on and on living at state expense for the next, you know, decade or so without, you know, justice being meted out. And unfortunate people like this unfortunate father, the unfortunate mother, now these parents in Telangana, I mean, think of their plight to see these chaps being treated like state guests. It must be galling beyond measure for these unfortunate victims.
Correct. And imagine all of this happening over and over again. I'm going to introduce 3 more guests in this discussion. Tara Kaushal, you are a writer, a forthcoming author of a book called Why Indian Men Rape. So maybe you'll be able to give us some perspective on the psychology of what you have studied. Niharika continues to be with us. Kiran Walia, the former Women and Child Development Minister of the Delhi government, is with me in the studio. Hello, ma'am. And Vishweshwar Reddy is also a leader from Telangana. Lalita Kumaramangalam, first let me come to you. You listen to person after person here on this panel and they would tell you that the problem is not that we need tougher, harsh laws. The problem is its execution.
Yes.
There is no fear of the law. Or if fear is a harsh word, there is no respect for the law. So to advocate lynching is actually a reflection of weakness.
I don't advocate lynching because that's no solution. Hello, can you hear me, Sanket?
Yes, Ms. Kumaramangalam.
Hello?
Okay, we'll try going back to Lalita Kumaramangalam.
Actually rapist.
But
the point is not that.
I'm going to fix this audio connection, Lalita ji. I'm going to come back to you. Niharika, where do you stand on this issue? Especially the point that was being made about fast-tracking and setting a time frame.
So Sanket, I agree, and but I do feel that with the backlog of the courts, not everything can be with the courts. Now let us look at the current Hyderabad case, and one of the biggest problems here is the apathy of the first responders, which are police forces. And you know, I'm not majorly against police forces or anything. I always say we have to look at everything from both sides. But the fact of the matter is, when a person goes missing, you have roughly a 12 to 24 hour period after which they, in greatest likelihood, are no longer with us. So the first response has to take up an active duty to begin looking immediately. There's no point in sending parents home saying, oh, maybe she went off on her own. At the most, what? You waste a little bit of police time looking, and then you discover someone and you find that they're okay. Exactly. And at that point in time, all right. But that's why we have such a large police force, so that they can have the ability to do this. Because I do believe that the courts have their role to play, but when you look at the backlog of it, what winds up happening is a few cases that get media attention and get buzz. Those are the ones that get fast tracked, and what we really need is justice across the board, safety across the board, and that won't happen unless there is a preventative step taken. No matter how much justice the court delivers, whatever has happened will still have happened to that person, and it is irreversible. The only way to change it is for the first response to shape up a bit and take more accountability here.
Correct. Kiran Walia, there's one MP in Parliament called Mr. P. Wilson who suggested or recommended that there should be chemical castration of all the rapists post their conviction. So when they leave the jail, there should be chemical castration so that they never dare to do this again. My bigger concern over here is how many have been convicted?
Yeah. I understand that there are about 150 such cases where death punishment has been awarded, but not been done, not executed. So if this is the case, and what you're suggesting is something that does come out of frustration of people, because when they see a situation like this, and imagine the parents whose daughter it may be or a family member, and unfortunately, I mean, this is a heinous, the worst crime. But here, you know, look at the age to which we are going, 2.5-year-old children, 8 months, 6 months. So where is the law? The fact remains that I do understand and accept what the lawyer was saying, that nothing is being implemented. You have n number of laws. The age of the juvenile and liable to be punished has been reduced from 18 to 16 after the Justice Verma Committee report. So you have all these laws, but I had been talking to the lawyer, I've been associated with this case from day one, that you know, where at times the judge is not there, at times the review petition is being, encouraged. Okay, all this is due process of law has to be followed. We are not for this not being followed. But
everything has to come with a time limit.
Exactly, no. So this is itself a heinous crime. Now where do we go from here? N number of processions at Jantar Mantar, I was there in the evening, but where will this lead to? We have the law in place, we have it's not being implemented, and we are a country which we have to see that whether any law exists in this country or not. This is becoming a total lawless situation in the highest court. And the session judge, the lawyer now has been appealing to the session judge. A year ago, that he had pleaded. Now review petitions, okay, do review petitions, but do it fast. So an average citizen today has come to this conclusion that nothing will happen. This is a very sad state of affairs, and I don't blame them. So what we need
an average citizen can come to this conclusion, but if MPs start coming to this conclusion where they openly advocate or suggest lynching, I think that was a very, very sorry comment to have made. It shows that MPs have no clue.
I am of the view that the process that is there has to be gone into. We are not asking for due process of law not to be implemented, but that doesn't speak of a civilized society. But are we civilized enough? You have children like the Ahmed Vihar Thana in Delhi has the highest number of small kids being kidnapped, and I'm sorry to say, from the railway department to every department knows that what is the network, who are the vested interests. Nothing is done. I've been to police station myself, Gherraud. The DCP would not come to see you. And here was a 2.5-year-old child that found wrapped in one of the dhalaos in the village. So this is what is happening in the capital of India. I'm glad you've taken up this topic, but we have to ensure now, who will ensure that the judges do the duty?
S. Jyoti Manish is a Congress MP from Tamil Nadu. Jyoti Mani, I want to come to you. I think you also mentioned, you also spoke on this issue. You're talking about how culprits are still out in many of the cases that have taken place in the south. Apart from Hyderabad, there's so many other cases.
Actually, next day after the Hyderabad, there is a 17-year-old girl coming out of her birthday celebration, raped in the Coimbatore. A few months before that, actually, there was hundreds of women who was actually raped repeatedly through a sex rocket. They were actually approached through social media, then called for a coffee, then sedated and raped and filmed, and they blackmailed them and repeated the offense multiple times. When it's happening for a few months, then one woman actually mustered her courage and went to police station and complained. Instead of actually protecting the victim and take action against the perpetrators, the police officials actually went in the press conference and revealed the name of the victim, so that actually other women will not come for a complaint. So this is the situation in the country, whether it's a south or north or west. Actually, women are facing the same issue. There is three parts to it. One is the law, second is the implementation, third is the mindset. Correct. In my opinion, mindset playing a very crucial role.
Correct. Tara Kaushal.
So even after Nirbhaya case, every year we have seen the crime against women is gradually increasing. 2015, 16 and 17.
Correct.
So
I
even
think
convicted rates also, it's very abysmal.
That's true. We are talking about those convictions only. Tara Kaushal, one of the key points that was mentioned by Ms. S. Jyoti Mani is the mindset. I can understand law, I can understand policing, but mindset. And since you've done a bit of work which has gone into your upcoming book, I want to know from you, what have you learnt?
Well, Sanket, so I do think that, what happens with the media or cases that are dramatic is that we approach gender violence through a law and order lens. And that's great, but that's all post-fact and after the act, okay? And then we're talking about capital punishment, and we're talking about lynching, and we're talking about vigilantism, all of which I have huge problems with, of course. But let's take a step back and figure out where these men came from. What were they thinking? Who sits down over drinks and decides, okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to find someone to rape? Where does that come from? What agendas were there? And there are lots of factors that are at play. There is alcohol, of course, but alcohol does not have a physiological effect to make you, a rapist. There is a cultural agenda or a cultural slant to what alcohol makes people do. And this has been proven, of course. The other thing is we have such a rapidly sexualizing society with absolutely no sex education. So without sex education, and you're learning about sex from porn, but also from rape videos. So not only regular porn, which has a lot of problems, but live rape videos. So if that's where you're learning, if that's what you think sex is, then there's a huge problem in the way you're going to enact those fantasies, right? And then you have, general quotidian violence against women, which is endorsed. We have ministers saying marital rape is okay because that's part of our culture. We have forced marriages. So then why are we suddenly so astounded about public rape? And public rape is only about 6% of all the rape that actually happens in the country. So all of this drama will happen for something that's dramatic and something that's big and something that led to someone being killed. But that's not what rape always is. So it's deadening our palates to the more mundane. And the more mundane rapes happen every single day in homes, under the guise of marriage, under the guise of child marriage, incest. All of these factors play a role in the way, eventually we see things going down like this public rape and murder. But that's not what rape is.
I think the points that Tara has made over here, they deserve a larger discussion as of this moment. And let me take a cue from what she said, which is one of the many things why people feel the urge or the need to rape. let me go to Vishweshwar Reddy as of this moment. Vishweshwar Reddy, there's a leader from Telangana called Mr. UKN Reddy, and he in Parliament said that one of the reasons why this has happened is because the Telangana government has decided to open the liquor shops till late.
There is a social impact. Telangana has the highest liquor consumption growth. We doubled from 11,000 crores revenue to 20,000 crores in the last 5 years. It is definitely one of the factors. But liquor, as Tara said, is not something that abets or has a physiological effect. But it has the social effect. 3 guys, jobless guys, sitting and drinking, see a hapless potential victim walking by. Should these guys be drinking on the street, on the highway near a toll gate, where a young lady comes to park? And it so happened that the place they purchased the liquor is 300 feet away, 300 yards away, on the highway. The government laws prohibit having liquor stores on the highway, but the Telangana government circumvented this by passing a law that if the highway passes through a municipality, then they can.
No,
they
right
can have
now,
a liquor store.
see, my point is, do you think that politically you are reducing an incident like this to just liquor shops?
No, absolutely not.
Because
Who is
the
to
bulk
blame?
of your
Yes,
argument is about
absolutely not.
positioning, decision.
Absolutely not. That is one of the causes. Absolutely. Who's to blame? We can start with the larger society. We can start with
one
the
moment.
policy,
Mr. Vishweshwar Reddy, I'll come back to you.
social-
Pinaki, I'm also going to come back to you, but Lalita Kumaramangalam hasn't spoken. There was some audio connection initially. Lalita, if you can hear me, I want you to weigh in. What do you think? First, and I'm again going to come back to the main point of parliamentarians saying that there should be lynching. I feel it is very, very unfortunate that something like this has been said from the floor of the House.
I agree with you, because you see, when you are in a position as Jaya Bachchan is, you need to speak more responsibly. To just say off the cuff lynching is the answer, public lynching is the answer to it. First of all, I think she doesn't even understand the problem fully. And secondly, I think it's very irresponsible, because you see, I mean, you can lynch anybody then. It will become a free for all for any crime and for people who may or may not have committed crimes. But what I'd like to say is that I agree with what the young lady before me who spoke said, that what India has actually done is we have structurally let down our women across the board. We need to have time-bound punishment for crimes like this. Not only time-bound, we need to punish across the board. If police don't do their duty, as was said, dereliction of duty, they must be punished, not just suspended. What's the point? If the politicians, stand in the way, they too need to be punished. The problem is that we are too fond of putting it on somebody else, the fault. And also the fact that we must start looking inwards. These rapists don't just spring up, out of, as was pointed out earlier. We need to bring in reforms into our education system. It's not just sex education. It's also that we need to teach our young boys and men, even young little kids, toddlers, to respect girls and women. First of all, let them learn to respect the women in their own life, their mother, friends, sister, classmate, etc. We have stopped talking about respect for women in all these arguments. If there is no respect, you can have as much laws as you want and as stringent laws as you want, nothing is going to happen. But we must have laws that can be implemented. If it means we have to train our police, gender sensitization, everything has to be done. Structurally, we have really no processes in place which can ensure that women get justice.
Ms. Kumaramangalam,
laws are fine. Implementation suffers
I
because
get your
the
point. I
structures
think
are not
the key
in
word
place.
that you have used over here is respect in all forms, and I feel that can be extended to the law as well.
Yes.
That you've got to respect the law. All institutions have to respect that law. Pinaki Mishra, you wanted to come in, and then Subhasini.
Just a couple of very quick points, Sanket. Number one, you see, I have the figures for the crime national crime reports against women. Now, it's facile to blame alcohol for this problem, because if you look at the 2 states which have prohibition in India, Bihar and Gujarat, Bihar from 2015, 13,904 cases, has now in 2017 gone up to 14,711 cases. where there have actually been prohibition for all these 3 years. Similarly, Gujarat from 7,777 has gone up to 8,532 in the same period, when there's been prohibition throughout. So therefore, and what is shocking, firstly, so therefore I don't believe alcohol has any direct nexus with this. This is, I agree with Lalita ji, it's a mindset problem, and this has to be very seriously dealt with at a family level, at a schooling level. But more importantly, why I say deterrence is important, because look, the All India figures are absolutely appalling. After Parliament brought in that so-called Nirbhaya law, which was very, very exacting law, which in terrorism sort of gives mandatory virtually death sentence. So therefore there should have been some fear. But look at this, from 3,29,243 instances of crimes against women in 2015 has gone up now to 3,45,989. So there is no fear of the law. That's the whole problem. So unless you start showing that the law will act with the full might against offenders
in a time-bound manner,
and without let or hindrance, in a time-bound manner, you cannot just leisurely carry on, enjoying your life in jail, at state expense, at taxpayers' expense, and carry on living a merry life, while these poor victims' families are grieving,
one by one. This was a point that Badrinath Singh also made. Subhasini Ali, I want to ask you this question. Let's carry forward the discussion on, first of all, we'll talk about reforming in the household a little later. The first thing that can immediately be fixed is implementation of the law.
Yes.
Right? Do you think that right now, instead of suggesting lynching, parliamentarians should much rather focus more on a time-bound procedure?
You see, the thing
Force the system to deliver justice in a time-bound manner.
Absolutely, you are absolutely right. And for that, so many laws and so many rules have been made. I don't want to repeat myself, but since the Nirbhaya case till now, how many policemen have been prosecuted for dereliction of duty? Had some senior policemen and some senior administrative officers been, they're the ones who get off. They're the ones who don't register the FIRs, and she talked about it also. In this case also, one of the people in the case in Hyderabad had just been stopped, and he didn't have a license, and he put some wire and was able to move his truck. Why was the truck not stopped? So what I'm saying is dereliction of duty on the part of the law enforcement agencies is a very, very important part of the whole thing. Secondly, again, people who are powerful, getting away with rape, being able to, misuse the whole system.
Correct.
And getting powerful patronage. This is naturally a huge message to everybody that you can get away with it. And it's horrible, it's terrible. In fact, it should be the very opposite. They should be made an example of. Why are they not being made an example of? And then people in important positions treating rape lightly, making a joke out of it, talking about, stupid things like
as Tara said, watching videos.
Watching videos and
making it your source of information.
Watching porn inside the assembly, and also saying that, why did she go out to work? Why was she out at night? Why is she doing this? Always the onus is ultimately fixed on the victim. Now, this is actually the most terrible thing that happens. It is not only in the judicial system that the perpetrators get off scot-free, but the mental torture for the victim.
Torture.
Who is then
that
fixed
is far
to the
more
onus,
difficult. That's the
to
trauma.
That it's her fault. It's her fault.
A trauma after the trauma. Niharika, I want to come to you, and then Ms. Jyoti Mani. The point on making law and justice time-bound. What all has happened legally about this? How many times has this argument been placed?
So I'll tell you what. I think the courts do the best they can. I think in order to truly make the issue of time-bound trials and time-bound justice a reality, not just for these offences but for other heinous offences as well, is if you expand your judiciary, you bring more judges on. But Sanket, that being said, and while I do think, yes, offenders should be tried in a time-bound way, let everyone have their due process of law, but try them in a time-bound way, and if they are to be punished, punish them in a time-bound manner. However, that being said, I've never really personally thought that punishment acts as a significant enough deterrent to crime. There have been loads of crimes still now that have the death penalty prescribed to them, and it doesn't really scare off offenders if they are in the mind to offend. So frankly, what I think needs to also be focused on is the preventative aspect. Yes, the justice aspect is one thing, absolutely, but creating a safe environment for women is the only way to keep women safe. Like I said before, and every time it comes down to this, every time there is a case that gains a bit of buzz in the media, it comes down to the question of why does it take so long for justice to be delivered. But what we also need to be focusing on in the first place is prevention of these crimes. And like Tara brought up, one very interesting thing is mindset. And I know you said we'll come to it a little later, but reformations in
that moment is now. You can talk about it.
Education is amongst the most important things. It's essentially what it comes down to. What is the difference and distinction between a person willing to carry out a heinous offense and a person not willing to carry out such offense? It just comes down to mindset. And when people are desensitized from the beginning to the essential worth of a human being, that is why things like this happen.
Ms. Jyoti Mani, as a parliamentarian, I want to ask you this question. Why don't you and Mr. Pinaki Mishra, I'm sure you're wise people, and you would have given some thought to this rather than suggest lynching, right? I want to ask you this basic question. Obviously, you'll have to look at things one thing at a time. Sensitization of people is one task. Making the justice delivery system time-bound is another task. Why can't we begin one and then fix the other, or do things simultaneously? Because 7 years later, 7 years after Nirbhaya, where a protest took place exactly where you are sitting right now, Ms. Jyoti Mani, I don't think we have really achieved much.
We have it. Actually, even 2017 data shows there is a 904 rapes in every month, 38 every day. Every 3 minutes 2 rapes. So that means actually that whether there is a law, whether implementation law, I am for a capital punishment or any harsh punishment if the crime against women or the rape is stopped. But that's not the reality here. So again, I would like to work on the mindset. Whenever we are having even debate, we focus more on the laws and implementation, not on the mindset. Why I keep on insisting on the mindset is we have the mindset of talking to the victims, shame the victims and humiliate the victims. We never willing to talk to the potential perpetrators or perpetrators. We never would like to shame them. So every time we are not willing to talk to our innocent boys at the young age, actually who will be turning as a potential perpetrators, because every house and every education institution we are telling the boys actually women actually are not equal, women are actually sexual objects, we don't need to respect them, women is an extension of a man. Actually Lalita has rightly brought out the point that respect here and dignity of the woman, which we have to start from the home and the education institutions. Without doing that sensitization, without changing that mindset, it's very difficult for law or enforcement agencies to stop with this crime.
I'll take that to Kiran Walia. Kiran Walia, from December 16th, 2012 to now, how much have we been able to sensitize? Have we had some progress? Because, I was hearing Subhasini Ali on the sidelines and she was saying it's gotten a lot worse.
Yes, and we have all these swamis who have been caught from Ram Rahim to so many of them. So, Nityanand and but nothing seems to have worked. So, therefore, I think that we have to become an impatient society about this. We can't afford this. It has to be done simultaneously.
Kiran, impatience is fine. To suggest lynching is not.
No, I am not in favor of lynching at all.
To suggest chemical castration is not.
We have to be impatient about the law not taking its course to the logical conclusion. That's what I am saying.
And sensitization programs not taking
place. It has to happen simultaneously.
And none of them have happened.
When we were in the government, believe me, we had run a whole course as to what is a good touch, what is a bad touch.
Correct.
Middle level school boys to be told that, they have to be now told very frankly that this is not done and what it implies. But at the same time, if everybody goes scot-free, it's a very serious issue. Nobody denies the fact that education should be done. I also agree that 80% of the cases are within the four walls of homes, or people don't to you. There is enough data about this.
You're not safe at home.
Exactly. So that is one issue, and that I would like to, through your channel, say that parents must, do something about it instead of hiding it under cover.
Okay.
So now the other issue is that unless this will also frighten, nowadays the children are very much exposed to media, newspapers, whatever is happening. So this has to happen, that they should know that this would be met with serious repercussion if they indulge in something like this. 18-year-olds today are not like 18-year-olds 40 years ago. So 16-year-olds in the middle level school, they have to be told in no uncertain terms. You have happenings, within four walls of a school.
Kiranwali, I am again asking you this question. You are a leader representing a political party. There are many MPs over here. Is there, in some quantifiable terms, an analysis of how much of all of this have we achieved since the 16th of December 2012? Let me take that question to Badrinath Singh. बद्रीनाथ जी, आपको क्या लगता है कि 16 दिसंबर 2012 से लेकर के सिवाय बात करने के हमने और कुछ किया है?
जी देखिए, ये सच है कि सिर्फ बात करने से तो होगा नहीं, लेकिन ये देखिए बात होती कहाँ है। छत के नीचे बैठकर हम बात करते हैं, क्राइम होता है सड़कों पे, जंगलों में, रास्तों में। अब जिस जगह हैदराबाद घटना हुई है, वहाँ पे घटना एक दिन पहले भी हुई है। हम में से कोई भी व्यक्ति इस समय वहाँ चला जाए तो उसको ऑटोमेटिक डर लगने लग जाएगा। हमें क्यों डर लग रहा है, हमारी कहाँ से कमियां हैं? तो इस सिर्फ बातें ही बातें तो है। हम बड़े से बड़े, अच्छे से अच्छे विद्वान बैठ करके बातें करते हैं कि नहीं ऐसे होना चाहिए, वैसे होना चाहिए, कानून होना चाहिए, माइंड सेट होना चाहिए। माइंड सेट से क्या होता है? किसका माइंड सेट करने की जरूरत है? यहाँ पे जरूरत है सिस्टम को सेट करने की। भारत में कोई एक चीज की कमी नहीं है। अगर कोर्ट है तो जज नहीं है, जज बहुत कम है, वकील बहुत ज्यादा है। अब बताइए, ऐसे जगहों पे आज तक हम दूर नहीं जा रहे हैं। सिर्फ हमारे केस को ले लीजिए कि जब 2012 में घटना हुई तब से अब तक किसी भी एक केस को, किसी भी एक विक्टिम को किसी भी तरह के पूरी तरह से न्याय मिल गया हो तो बता दीजिए कि मिल गया। तो ये हमारे बातों का ही ये कमाल है या खेल है कि हम बातों बातों में कहकर जनता को भरमा देते हैं कि नहीं हम ये कर रहे हैं, हम वो कर रहे हैं, चाहिए करेंगे। और जनता भी सोचते हैं कि नहीं फलाने बैठे इन्होंने ऐसा अच्छा बोला, तो अच्छा बोला तो जरूर, लेकिन बोला ना, किया तो कुछ नहीं। हम जहाँ भी जाते हैं, बड़े से बड़े जगह पे जाते हैं, वहाँ पे वो भी कहते हैं कि हम भी एक लड़की के पिता हैं। तो आपको क्यों डर लग रहा सिस्टम में जब बैठे हैं? तो आपको क्यों डर लग रहा है कि जब आप कानून के मालिक ही हैं? तो इसका मतलब तो साफ है कि हम बात ही सिर्फ कर रहे हैं, बाकी कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं। और जब तक कुछ करेंगे नहीं तब तो कुछ होगा भी नहीं।
What you are saying as of this moment, really I have no words as of this moment, because you're from what you say, you're making the purpose of this debate, I don't know, I feel pretty meaningless doing this debate also. It feels that I'm complicit, part of a system, debating this only because there is a backdrop. There is a case that happened. There is an incident that happened. But we're going to power on and let's hope something changes. I'm going to stop for a short break at this moment, and then after the break, we'll take quick closing comments from Lalita Kumaramangalam, Mr. Vishweshwar Reddy, as well as Tara Kaushal. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. Quick closing comments now. Lalita Kumaramangalam, we'll begin with you, and we were discussing this during the break. So I want to ask you this. Do you think that we are not learning and maybe waiting for another incident as heinous, if not more to happen? As Subhashini is saying, this happens every day. As heinous, if not more.
Younger girls.
Sanket, I think that we are as a nation not doing justice to our women and girls. Every time there's an incident, a major incident, it comes to the attention of the media and there's a big uproar. but then we again stop talking about it. We don't really put into place the structural changes that are necessary. Structural changes take time, but that's the only thing that will eventually get India out of this one rape after another sort of cycle that's going on in India. As you yourself said, from 2012 to today, it's 7 years. The rapists of Nirbhaya have not been punished yet. I mean, they've got their sentence, but they haven't been punished. So how are people going to trust the justice system in this country? How will women feel safe? We have politicians across the board who make utterly stupid statements. We have DIGs of police giving, advisories to women as if it's the women who are raping other women. Nobody talks about addressing the men, young boys, little children who need to be taught that women are partners. We are not just here as objects to be used and thrown or whatever it is. We need to make sure that every structure that is in place, that needs to be put in place to keep women and girls safe, wherever they may be, at home, in schools, in public places, where they work, etc.
Okay.
They have to be put in place. These are long-term measures, but these are the only ones that will actually make a change.
Okay.
For the short term, we must have, I think, 2 months to 6 months, not more than that. We need to make sure that these guys, when they are, when they are caught, they must be caught. Police must be, there must be, a sort of system put in place where police are punished regardless of their level of posting.
In the short term,
we need to make sure that the courts are really fast track, not that, there's no judge, etc. Yes, these are short term.
Okay.
Yes. 6 months, yes, it must be time.
Final comments.
These probably are the best that we can do.
Okay, Tara, you heard Lalita, you heard a whole host of opinion. I want to know from you, while you write a book called Why Indian Men Rape, I want to ask you what will make them stop?
I wish I had a simple solution, but the fact of the matter is there are so many causes that we need to address them one at a time. So like the knee-jerk solutions of banning alcohol, etc., don't work. And I really think that curative solutions like law enforcement don't work as a deterrent, particularly if the Supreme Court has 3.3 crore pending cases today, right? Not Supreme Court, the courts in India have 3.3 crore pending cases. But more important is the fact that 99.1% of cases of rape are not reported. So we're talking about cure, but what about prevention? What about putting the onus back on the men, back where it belongs, instead of focusing on safety of women and where we should be and what time we should be home, and positing that the home is a safe space, the outside is not. All of these things aside, we need to educate our men and our boys that this is not an acceptable way to deal with their sexual frustration or their need to exert power, or simply, when I was researching for Why Indian Men Rape, I realized that most men don't even know what consent is. But how can they when you have marital rape as something that we socially endorse? So then, how are they taught that some women are okay, others are not? Some behavior is okay with some women, it's not okay with other women. What is this? We need to teach men and boys where consent is. And of course, all of this public rape and stuff, they knew exactly what they were doing was wrong. And then we need to figure out why they were so angry, why they were so frustrated, and all those factors before we can find a solution.
In the short term and in the long, a lot of steps were recommended post the 16th of December 2012. And I'm sorry to announce as of this moment that at the end of this broadcast, and also of all the reading that one does, I do not think we have moved even 1 inch forward. This conversation could have been from the 16th of December 2012 and not a word or a comma changed. We've run out of time. Sorry?
Something did change. The laws were strengthened, but the laws have not been implemented in spirit or in letter.
Okay.
Even fast-track courts, I think judges have to be accountable.
Sure.
They cannot sit on it like this. 150 cases waiting for execution.
Sure.
And death punishment awarded but not
running
being
out
given.
of time. Obviously, this is a failure of the 3 pillars of democracy. And if these pillars don't take take the weight or bear the weight, then obviously we'll keep failing the women of this country. Thank you so much, all of you all, for joining us on this broadcast. News continues on NDTV. Stay with us.